Part 140. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1391. Chapter 1391. Tanyuj has another secret. How Tanyuj got to Wayang's house that year, why he endured Uncle Wayang's abuse but never came back, are all a mystery. Even Wayang Tianyu doesn't know. After understanding this, Qian Yuman suddenly realized that there were still many mysteries about Tanyuj, and there were many things that had not been said. For example, she kept silent about what happened that year. What she knew was what she heard from Wayang Tianyu. Now I heard from Grandma Tang that Tanyuj already knew the contact details of his family when he was a child. He should have the ability to come back when he was abused by Uncle Wayang. Even if he was not abused, there was no reason to stay in the Wayang family as an adopted son after leaving home. Why? When he couldn't bear it anymore, he wanted to send Uncle Wayang to prison. And going to jail for decades, just because of being abused. This is obviously impossible. There must be something unknown that Wayang Tianyu doesn't know yet. She already knew him well, but now she found that she didn't know him thoroughly enough. Failed. She kept saying that she loved him, but she failed to show the care and trust that a lover and wife should have. Xiao Man'er. Qian Yuman was in a daze, thinking about Tanyuj, and she was in a daze unconsciously. Grandma Tang yelled several times before she recovered. What are you thinking about? Thinking about Xiao Yu'er? Yes, Qian Yuman nodded and told Grandma Tang what she knew. She had not told many people about these things before. Grandma Tang did not know that Qian Yuman and Tanyuj had known each other since they were children. It turns out that so much happened to Xiao Yu'er when she was a child. Grandma Tang was a little lost in thought. Do you know the name of Xiao Yu'er's adoptive father? Name. Qian Yuman fell into deep thought and quickly searched for Uncle Wayang's name in her mind. At that time, I was still too young. Whenever I saw him, I would always call him Uncle Wayang, and I rarely heard his name. I seem to have heard it in my memory, but it takes some time to think about it. Ah, I remembered, his name is Wayang Chenzi. Wayang Chenzi, Grandma Tang exclaimed, her pupils slightly dilated. Grandma, do you know her? Grandma Tang realized her gaffe, looked elsewhere, and shook her head slightly. I don't know him. How could I know him? I just heard that he was a gangster in the city. I didn't expect that Xiao Yu'er went to him that year. Grandma Tang was evasive and looked a little panicked, like someone with a guilty conscience. This made Qian Yuman couldn't help but suspect that Grandma Tang was lying. Grandma Tang has obviously not only heard about it, but is also unwilling to talk about it in depth. She even changed the topic from Tanyuj's childhood experience to something else. Xiao Man'er, I heard from Xingai that there is a daughter named Ruru. Why didn't you bring her today? Even though Grandma Tang liked little Mickey very much when she saw it, she actually liked her daughter the most in her heart. When Qian Yuman was pregnant, she solemnly ordered her to have a daughter. The news I received before was also the daughter of Qian Yuman's Hung. When she heard that her great-granddaughter had died, she secretly shed a few tears. Ruru is with Murong 11, Qian Yuman said in a low mood. Her biological daughter didn't stick to her, and she only thought about Murong 11, her adoptive mother. She used food tips to get Ruru to get closer to her, but she still couldn't compare to Murong 11's status in her heart. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 1392. Chapter 1392. Meet Lurong and her daughter again. 1. Grandma Tang consciously mentioned something that made her unhappy, and then awkwardly changed the subject. Without these unhappy things, it's hard to see you again today, but you still want to cook me a delicious meal. I haven't tasted your cooking for many years. Don't you know how much I miss you? Hurry up. Make me one of my favorite snacks. Grandma Tang pulled Tianyuman and walked towards the kitchen. Knowing that she was coming today, she had already ordered her to go down and prepare a lot of ingredients, waiting for Tianyuman to come and cook for him. Tianyuman also smiled helplessly and shook her head. She seemed to have become a cook-like existence. In the past, it was only cooked for my mother and myself, but now it has become a crowd, and everyone who meets me wants to taste her cooking. Tianyuman happily made snacks and lunch for Grandma Tang. During this period, Little Mickey and Grandma Tang got along happily. Little Mickey and Grandma Tang even played chess. The appearance of one old and one young playing chess, not to mention how cute and loving they were. After cooking a table of meals, Tianyuman happily invited Grandma Tang and Little Mickey to come and eat. As soon as the meal started, Grandma Tang happily tasted every dish on the table. While eating, she praised Tianyuman's cooking skills for getting better and better. They chatted while Tianyuman occasionally talked about his life experiences in the past few years and the growth history of Little Mickey. The atmosphere was very harmonious. At this moment, laughter sounded outside, and the laughter kept approaching them. Lurong and her son, who had just returned from shopping, saw Grandma Tang and Tianyuman and their son when they entered Tang's house. Their laughter stopped and disappeared from their mouths. A hint of darkness flashed across Lurong's face, quickly and hard to catch. Tang Xinglu, who was accompanying Lurong, saw Tianyuman, dropped the shopping bag in her hand, rushed over quickly, and pointed at Tianyuman. "Grandma, why is this woman here? Why are you talking to sister-in-law?" Grandma Tang slapped the table hard and scolded Tang Xinglu with a dark face. Tang Xinglu pouted and looked at Tianyuman sadly. "Grandma, what sister-in-law? She and her eldest brother have divorced. She didn't recognize her as the eldest sister-in-law before, and she won't recognize her as the eldest sister-in-law now, and she won't recognize her as the eldest sister-in-law in the future." Tianyuman didn't care either, her eyes gently swept over Tang Yu's only sister. After not seeing each other for 3 or 4 years, Tang Xinglu looked more and more like her mother. She was tall and graceful. If she didn't say things she didn't like to hear, she would still appreciate Tang Xinglu's excellent appearance. "I didn't expect that more than 3 years later, Miss Xinglu is still so uneducated." Tianyuman is not someone who is beaten casually, so she naturally has to fight back, but she will not feel any emotions in her heart for her words. "Who are you talking about? Do you know whose home you are in? You are so arrogant in my home. Fortunately, my eldest brother is not with you. I am so lucky," Tang Xinglu said happily. When Tianyuman heard this, he immediately became furious and glared at Tang Xinglu without saying anything. Being stared at by Tianyuman made Tang Xinglu feel uncomfortable. She couldn't help but take a step back and swallowed her saliva. "What's so bad about it? Xinglu, if you are so rude again, I will send you to study abroad." Grandma Tang's words instantly extinguished Tang Xinglu's anger, and she hid behind Lurong with some dissatisfaction. "Hurry up and apologize to your sister-in-law. As the eldest elder of the Tang family, Grandma Tang, who has been running the Tang dynasty group for decades, cannot be protested by anyone when she is serious, especially Tang Xinglu, who has been afraid of her grandma since she was a child." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1393. Chapter 1393. Meet Lurong and her daughter again too. Hurry up and apologize to your sister-in-law. As the eldest elder of the Tang family, Grandma Tang, who has been running the Tang dynasty group for decades, cannot be protested by anyone when she is serious, especially Tang Xinglu, who has been afraid of her grandma since she was a child. Tang Xinglu looked unwilling, felt unhappy, and was afraid that her grandma would really send her to study abroad, So she could only walk over with a face of reluctance and said something very insincere. Sorry. Then he ran away, still muttering quietly, and probably didn't say anything nice. Manman, don't mind Xinglu's childish words. I apologize to you again on her behalf. Lu Rong bowed with a gentle smile and apologized very sincerely. I am afraid that normal people would choose to forgive after seeing his gesture. But Jian Yuman sneered in her heart and had to admit that Lu Rong was deeply scheming. How can I argue with Xinglu who will never grow up? It's not a big deal. Jian Yuman can do it if she wants to be hypocritical, and she will naturally do a good job of showing off. Lu Rong nodded with a smile and left. Jian Yuman couldn't help but shake her head. This Lu Rong is more reserved than she was 3 years ago. She knows very well what kind of person Lu Rong is. She can pretend to be hypocritical in front of her children, and she can act like a gentle, considerate, and good wife in front of Tang's father, but in her eyes, she is a vicious woman. She heard about it from her sister and Tang Yuge. When her sister pretended to be her and came to discuss divorce with Tang Yuge, this teamed up with Qi Yuqing and killed the child in her sister's belly. If it had not been her sister, the children who might have died were her children, and little Mickey and Ruru would not have had a chance to be born. This woman's heart is so vicious that she never provokes Lu Rong, but she has been framed by her countless times and even caused her sister to break up with Tang Feishan. Why Jian Yuman felt that she was more scheming? It was because her attitude was so perfect. Tang Yuge thought that Lu Rong and the others had killed his child, so he once threw Lu Rong into a mental hospital for a whole year before he threw her back. During this period, they couldn't find Tang's father. If he thought it was almost the same, they wouldn't be able to find him at all. Lu Rong was a little delirious when he was first recovered. After being held in a place like that for a year, a normal person would be driven crazy. Looking at her appearance now, she has returned to her former self. She believed that Lu Rong must know who was imprisoned in the mental hospital and why she was imprisoned. After staying in such a ghost place for so long, she could still behave so calmly and generously in front of the person who caused her to be imprisoned. And even took the initiative to apologize to her on behalf of her daughter. You can imagine how forbearing she must be to do this. This woman is too dangerous. I'd better stay away from her in the future. Lv Rong and her daughter left, and Grandma Tang held her hand. Xiao Man'er, don't be angry. Grandma will always stand by you. I will only recognize you as my eldest grandson-in-law. I will not recognize any other woman. Even if you are divorced, in my eyes you are my grandson. My wife Grandma Tang's words moved Jian Yuman and she smiled happily. Grandma, please help me get Mr. Tang back together with me, and teach me how to get along as a husband and wife. This time he insists that he doesn't want to get back together with me, which means I don't believe him. That's no problem, but you have to agree to Grandma's request. I don't want to write anymore. I'm just so lazy, I'll update it tomorrow. Moi. Started promoting books again. Book title, Lucky Pregnant Sweet Wife, President Buy One Get 3 Free Pen Name, 13 Sauce. Introduction, after a night of wild love, the woman was exhausted, with tears in her eyes she cursed angrily, how long are you going to sleep? For a lifetime. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1394. Chapter 1394. Meet Lu Rong and her daughter again. 3. That's no problem, but you have to agree to Grandma's request. Grandma Tang readily agreed, but there was an additional requirement. Request? What request? You won't ask her to do something she doesn't like. Don't worry, it's not an embarrassing thing. I just hope you can help resolve the relationship between Xiao Yu'er and his father. Since what happened that year, he has never dared to return to this house again. I want to see Xiao Yu'er and have to go out by myself. Run to find him. Even when you came back this time, He personally called me and told me to watch over you and not let you suffer any more grievances. Even after so many years, he is still worried about what happened back then. Grandma Tang sighed and talked about the efforts she had made in the past few years. Her son was determined not to bow down to her grandson, and her grandson refused to go home. She did a lot of ideological work in the middle, but the relationship between the two was still very bad. Tang's father did not believe that Lu Rong had done evil things, and blamed Tang Yuj for bullying his stepmother. Tang Yuj's attitude was simpler, just to vent his anger on Qian Yuman, thinking that if Lu Rong was in the family, he, Tang Yuj, could not exist, and he did not want to see him again. Let Qian Yuman get hurt. Hearing the end, Qian Yuman was moved to tears. She vaguely knew the reason why Mr. Tang broke off the relationship with the Tang family, but the feeling of hearing it with her own ears was completely different. Actually, Mr. Tang still cares about her, which makes her more certain that he is someone she can trust for life and stay with her until she grows old. How could she let go of such an excellent man and insist on getting him? Xiao Manor Grandma Tang took Qian Yuman's hand, spoke earnestly, and held her hand tightly. As long as my old lady is in this house for a day, I will never let you be wronged. You and I are both aware of what Lu Rong did, but my unfilial son can't always see it. What on earth was Tang Wentao thinking? Qian Yuman some would complain that Tang Wentao was not a good lover. He has always been unable to let go of her mother, and even ran to Paris this time. But he is a married man, so what confidence does he have that he can let his mother be with him? Be a mistress? A woman who destroys families. Fortunately, my mother is now reunited with her dad. The two are like paint, and they have recently accompanied them to travel. If Tang Wentao becomes her stepfather, it's scary to think about it, but it's better not to think about it. Xiao Manor, do you agree? Grandma Tang's old eyes were full of longing. Qian Yuman nodded wildly. Grandma, we have already reached this point. I also confess that in this life I will not marry anyone except your grandson Tang Yuj. I believe that we will get back together sooner or later. As for whether Mr. Tang will come back or not, this is really difficult to deal with. This is not just a matter of forgiving him on Mr. Tang's side, but also on his father's side, and Lu Rong. Qian Yuman has been unhappy with Lu Rong for a long time. Seeing how happy she is now, she still feels a little unhappy. The child in Lili Ai's belly is alive. Don't worry, I will always find a way to get rid of this woman, Grandma Tang vowed. I have been dissatisfied with this daughter-in-law from the beginning. Over the years, this person's heart has become worse and worse. If such a woman exists in the Tang family, sooner or later the family will fall apart. Speaking of Lu Rong, Grandma Tang also had a lot of resentment. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1395. Chapter 1395 Tasting the Bitter Fruit of the Forbidden Fruit. Speaking of Lu Rong, Grandma Tang also had a lot of resentment. There are thousands of people who hate Lu Rong. There are many people in this family who see clearly, and there are also many who are kept in the dark. Lu Rong lived in such a stable way for more than 10 years. Although there was no love between the husband and wife, Tang Wentao had other women in his heart. But Ms. Tang's status and her family's wealth also allowed her to live a comfortable life, and other things seemed not that important. Qian Yuman stayed all night, and no one came back. Before leaving, Qian Yuman couldn't help but ask curiously. Isn't Xingai off work yet? It's already late. Xingai. When Tang Xingai was mentioned, a sad expression appeared on Grandma Tang's face unconsciously. Our Tang family is now falling apart. The grandchildren are leaving one by one, but my unfilial son doesn't know how to reflect. Grandma Tang's face is full of vicissitudes and sadness. She is getting older, and she should enjoy the age of having grandchildren and enjoying the sunset life. However, it is not so easy to be born in a wealthy family. Grandma Tang, who was already 70 or 80 years old, still had to worry about the affairs of the younger generation. No wonder when she saw Grandma Tang again, Qian Yuman found that she was much older. It seemed that Tang Xingai's affairs were not simple either. Why did Xingai run away? It's not just for a woman, Grandma Tang slapped the table angrily. Why are all of us in the Tang family a love interest? Is this revenge for blocking her son's marriage with Jian Xian'er when she was young, and now she is torturing her with the marriage of her grandchildren? Grandma Tang's eyes were red and tears were shining in her eyes. She was deeply tormented by sadness. Grandma, what happened? Did something happen to Xingai and his fiancée? Yes. Grandma Tang sighed deeply and slowly talked about what happened. It turned out that not long after the Qian Yuman incident broke out, problems arose between Tang Xingai and Yang Yanliu. Just before their engagement, Lu Rong actually handed Tang Xingai an agreement and told him that the reason why Yang Yanliu was willing to be with him was we were together just for money, and we even agreed that for money, we would break up with him after giving birth to a child, and then leave with the child. After learning the truth, Tang Xingai angrily ran to confront Yang Yanliu. Faced with Tang Xingai's confrontation, Yang Yanliu was scolded quietly without saying a word. Even if Tang Xingai begged her for an explanation, she remained silent. The irrefutable evidence made Tang Xingai grow up overnight. The next day, Tang Xingai received a text message from Yang Yanliu, saying that they had broken up and the child had been aborted in the morning. Anyway, they already knew the truth, so they parted ways. For her, she didn't need to have a child and she had money to get it, so it was a better choice for her. After receiving Yang Yanliu's text message, Tang Xingai became like this overnight, cold, no longer sincere to the outside world, and taciturn. He moved out of the house the next day, thinking that Lu Rong had ruined his love, blaming her for sending Yang Yanliu away with money, and even more angry that Yang Yanliu couldn't stand the temptation of money and sacrificed their love. After leaving the Tang family, Tang Xingai found his eldest brother and started working in his company while painting, and he put it away forever. Hearing these remarks of Grandma Tang, Qian Yuman thought, is Yang Yanliu really like this kind of person as Grandma Tang said? Then I thought about Lu Rong's character, maybe there was something hidden in it, especially the existence of Xiao Wang Wang. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1396. Chapter 1396 Hidden Danger. Hearing these remarks of Grandma Tang, Qian Yuman thought, is Yang Yanliu really like this kind of person as Grandma Tang said? Then I thought about Lu Rong's character, maybe there was something hidden in it, especially the existence of Xiao Wang Wang. Yang Yanliu didn't abort the child at all, so why did he lie to Xingai? Did Yang Yanliu really sacrifice their relationship for money? Then why did he still say those unpleasant words to stimulate Xingai and then give birth to the child behind Tang Xingai's back? There must be a reason, it must have been plotted by Lu Rong. Qian Yuman was very determined, and she knew Lu Rong very well. He would rather believe his students than Lu Rong's words. Tang Xingai was different. He would definitely not suspect that her mother was causing trouble, and Yang Yanliu didn't explain it, so he had no suspicion at all. As for why Yang Yanliu didn't explain, it was probably due to a lot of calculations. Qian Yuman firmly believed in Yang Yanliu and had no idea that Lu Rong promised Yang Yanliu to marry Tang Xingai, and then gave Yang Yanliu 5 million behind Tang Xingai's back so that she could give birth to Tang Xingai. Yang Yanliu was coerced and induced by Lu Rong. Next, he accepted the check. As for the truth, I am afraid that only the parties involved, Lu Rong and Yang Yanliu, know. It was getting late, Jian took little Mickey and left the Tang family. Today it seemed that I came to see Grandma Tang to talk and reminisce about old times, but the two of them opened up their conversation and talked about many things in the past few years, and learned many things that she didn't know. Tang Xingai and Yang Yanliu, this made the matchmaker's blood burn in Jian heart. Lovers get married. It is impossible for Yang Yanliu not to love Tang Xingai, otherwise she would not have given birth to the child behind his back. She has a lot to do in the future. While she has to bring Yang Yanliu and Tang Xingai together, she also has to bring herself and Tang Yuj together. It seems that she will have busy days in the future. When Jian left, the curtains of a bedroom on the second floor were lifted up, and a pair of eyes full of hatred stared at the back of Jian leading little Mickey away. Jian, I didn't expect you to come back. Wouldn't it be nice to leave? Why come back and suffer? The person who spoke was Lu Rong. Her voice was low and repressed, full of anger, and there was no place to vent it. Those eyes filled with deep hatred seemed to want to cut Jian into pieces. Jian, I will repay you 1,000 times the suffering I suffered back then. Either you die or I die. The red wine glass in his hand fell to the ground, and the red wine in the glass overflowed. Splash. Lu Rong still remembers being in the mental hospital, where her screams were unresponsive and her screams were unresponsive. She faced doctors who couldn't understand her every day. No matter how many ways she tried to escape, she would be brutally captured. After catching her, they would give her a sedative to make her sleepy every day. I couldn't escape, couldn't contact anyone, and stayed in that devilish place for a whole year. She will definitely let Jian feel that kind of pain firsthand. When Jian left, she felt the uncomfortable gaze. She quickly turned her head and looked around, but found nothing. The Tang family is really creepy. It would be better to leave as soon as possible. Jian took little Mickey and left here quickly. If Grandma Tang was not here, she would never want to come back again. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1397. Chapter 1397. Little Mickey's Call for Help. Little Mickey got up on time in the morning, looked at the closed and locked door, and heard the sounds of his parents fighting from time to time in the room. He sighed and called to order takeout. Husband is the best. There's even better. No more, no more. No. You seduced me so much last night, and you gave me a painful explanation. You don't know what a man's is and cannot be provoked. I know I was wrong. Jian cried for mercy, but someone still hit her hard. Ambiguous sounds kept coming from the crack in the door. A dim little Mickey stood at his parents' door, scratching his head. This situation is so familiar that they seem to be calling for a long time. Little Mickey was very angry about why his parents were so keen on this kind of thing, so he took out his mobile phone to search. Why do parents keep shouting in the room? Why does mom keep begging dad for mercy? Why does mom scream strangely when she cries? Why does dad want to hurt mom and keep shouting? Why does dad lock the door and prevent the child from entering, etc. A series of keyword searches. The result was a bunch of ambiguous and imaginative words, and the naive little Mickey couldn't understand the answers that the adults were shouting at. What do you mean? Should I call the police? Little Mickey thought about it seriously and started to call the police to ask questions. After the call was dialed, little Mickey said hello politely. Hello, Uncle Policeman. The policeman who answered the phone was stunned for a moment, but he didn't expect that the person on the line was a little milk baby. Children, what do you want to do with the police, Uncle? Little Mickey pondered for a moment. I have a question for you. The police uncle who answered many random police calls rarely received a call from a little baby. His fatherly love came out and he asked softly. Children, what do you want to ask? My mommy seems to have been abused by my daddy, Little Mickey answered too seriously. He was asking this question seriously. What? Is your mom being abused? Domestic violence. Can you tell your uncle more carefully? Okay. Daddy and Mummy were in the room, and then Mummy kept calling her husband great, and then screamed in pain that he didn't want it anymore, and kept begging Daddy for mercy. Daddy also said that he would give her a painful price, and that a man's should not be provoked. My mommy's voice was hoarse. Daddy didn't let go. Maybe Mommy was abused by Daddy all night. Why? My mommy was abused by Daddy, and she didn't resist, even a little bit. Happy? Little Mickey asked seriously, his little eyebrows knitted together. He was deeply worried about Mommy, especially when he heard Mommy scream. It was even more painful. The policeman on the other end of the phone was laughing while holding the phone. Other colleagues looked crazy when they saw him, but he had to pretend to be a majestic policeman while listening to the children's calls to the police. Police uncle, if you don't answer, I won't ask you anymore, I'll ask someone else. Little Mickey's thirst for knowledge made him want to find out why Mommy is so keen on being punished by Daddy. Cough cough cough, the police uncle coughed quickly, trying to hold back his laughter and rubbing his cheeks. Kid, don't worry about this. Your parents are here to create younger siblings for you. You will know why when you grow up. Don't rush in and disturb your parents. Little Mickey, someone give me the answer. Your Majesty, where is the message? Do you want to watch the 5th update? 6 updates. Monthly tickets and recommended tickets are here. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dowby in the World. Chapter 1398. Chapter 1398 Little Mickey's Unscrupulous Parents. Cough cough cough, the police uncle coughed quickly, trying to hold back his laughter and rubbing his cheeks. Kid, don't worry about this. Your parents are here to create younger siblings for you. You will know why when you grow up. Don't rush in and disturb your parents. You mean, they are doing it inside, love? Little Mickey suddenly realized it, and when the police uncle solved his puzzle, he immediately got the answer in his head. I read a book before, saying that parents have to do what they want to do when making children. Love, then the mother becomes pregnant and can give birth to the child. It turns out that this is what my parents are doing inside, but does it need to be called out all the time? Keep begging for mercy? Really weird. Tisk. It's weird how much fun adults have. The policeman didn't expect that the child would be fooled by this. This time it was his turn to be stunned. He thought he would explain to the child in a more tactful way, but he didn't know that the 2 or 3-year-old child who heard the voice actually guessed in his simple explanation. Give accurate answers. Magic. Kid, how old are you? How do you know so much? I'm going to be 3 years old soon. Why? You've never seen a child as smart as me? Uncle Policeman, I'm a genius child. Little Mickey is so narcissistic that he is naturally very happy to be praised. Unfortunately, this little guy doesn't know it at all. There are some things he knows that are forbidden, and he knows vocabulary that he should not know at such a young age. It would be amazing if he knew it. Your daddy and mommy's education is very good. The policeman coughed awkwardly, and for a while he didn't know how to continue chatting with this genius child. Goodbye, Uncle Policeman, thank you for clarifying my doubts today. You're welcome, the police called Little Mickey. He stayed up all night waiting to receive the call from the police. He was in a very happy mood at the moment, and the fatigue of the whole night was gone. He was really a cute little boy. Hang up the phone, and at this time the call for takeaway came. He happily took the takeout and started enjoying it alone. After breakfast, there are still many things to do. I walked around this new home and interacted with the intelligent system robot for a long time. Even one person can have a lot of fun. The 2 unscrupulous parents were still sleeping during lunch, and little Mickey had no choice but to order takeout, which was the only way to satisfy his stomach. When dinner arrived, Mom and Dad were still awake. Little Mickey was a little annoyed. How could he sleep all day? Is it so tiring to make younger siblings? It's also my parents. Little Mickey was very considerate of his father and mother, and consciously ordered another takeaway meal. When the takeaway boy came for the third time, he saw little Mickey taking the takeout, and he was very curious. Especially when ordering takeout this time, it was obviously not enough for a child to finish, it was enough for 3 adults. Children, isn't your family here? Why do you keep ordering takeout? Little Mickey looked at the nosy delivery man with a serious face. My parents are still sleeping. Ah. Are your parents so outrageous that they sleep all the time? They don't care about you eating either. Yes, this pair of unscrupulous parents are really abominable. Poor, my little friend, it's so delicious. The delivery boy thoughtfully helped little Mickey place the meal on the table and took away the boxes left over from his breakfast and lunch. Not long after little Mickey started eating, voices finally sounded in Tanyush's room, and Jian-Yuman kept shouting that he was hungry. Oops, the unscrupulous daddy and mommy woke up. Little Mickey pouted and mocked. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1399. Chapter 1399. Let's start with dating. Ah, so hungry, so hungry. Jian-Yuman woke up from hunger, her stomach kept growling, and she kept rolling on the bed. She was so pitiful that she almost died. Tanyuj, who was still sleeping, woke up and looked at her cute and coquettish look with nostalgia, the corners of his mouth curled up. Are you very hungry? Yes, it's a physical job, I'm so hungry now, and my dog's nose seems to smell very fragrant food. Very fragrant food. Tanyuj glanced at Jian-Yuman's exposed skin, which indeed looked delicious. Jian-Yuman felt Tanyuj's burning gaze, and hunger became less important. She quickly thought of their current relationship, and they worked hard last night. Mr. Tang. Jian-Yuman suddenly rushed over and hugged Tanyuj's waist tightly. The two naked people were closely touching each other. I'm so happy. You are playing with fire. Tanyuj sighed helplessly. He had weak self-control, and he did not expect to be seduced by her in the end. Last night I made an excuse for myself, ignored everything, and just did it. Thinking about it now, he must be lying if he said he regretted it. He still enjoyed last night, but thinking about the problems between them, he was afraid that this woman would never be able to get rid of him in this life. This sweet burden gave him a headache. I don't care, you have to be responsible for me. Jian-Yuman hugged him, smiled coquettishly, and squirmed in his arms. You said last night, I don't have to be responsible. A certain man teased her in a good mood. A certain woman, who was actually very nervous, immediately pouted her lips and looked at Tanyuj cautiously as soon as she heard what he said. Well, Mr. Tang, although modern people are very open-minded, I am a very conservative person. I have only one man like you in this life. After I fall in love with you, I can't help myself. Don't give up on me all the time. How have I ever abandoned you? I've always been the one abandoned. Okay. Tanyuj was also full of complaints. Why did this sound so wrong to him? Jian-Yuman was stunned and smiled silly. I know I was wrong. Just give me a chance. I won't be in a hurry to get back together. At least you have to give us another chance. Let me stay by your side as a woman, help you warm your bed, and serve you your little gun. Otherwise, at least let me stay by your side and give us hope for the future. Why bother you? It's not bitter, really. Compared with the harm I caused you by misunderstanding you, these are not bitter, they are all sweet. Why don't we start dating today? Qian Yuman blinked her bright eyes and looked at Tang Yuj, as pitiful and lovable as a puppy. Well, I'll think about it. Don't think about it, you have to promise me. I worked so hard last night, give me a candy. A certain woman started to act coquettishly and roll around. Don't. Tang Yuj wanted to continue discussing with her, but there was a knock on their door. Daddy, Mommy, are you awake? I ordered takeout and we came out to eat together. Qian Yuman looked resentfully at her son who interrupted her conversation, and her stomach growled dissatisfiedly when she heard the word takeaway. Mr. Tang, don't be in a hurry to eat, you haven't answered me yet. Tang Yuj gently pushed her away and stood up. Didn't you just complain that you were hungry? Go eat first. No, no, I don't want to eat first. Do you feel that His Majesty is particularly diligent tonight? Especially if you don't have any jokes? Ha 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 ha. Reader-level disciples can join the group number, 4558755740, those with 2000 points can join quickly. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 1400. Chapter 1400 Another Son. Qian Yuman lay down on the bed and started rolling around. She had been hungry for so long, and she would be hungry for a while longer. What she wanted to know most now was Mr. Tang's answer. As long as she can get back together with Mr. Tang, she is willing to do anything now. Qian Tangyuj shouted helplessly, then put on his clothes and walked into the bathroom to wash up. Qian Yuman pouted, lying on the bed, the corners of her mouth curled up. Even though Tangyuj didn't agree to get back together with her, she still felt so happy. She succeeded in seducing him, but his heart was not indestructible or impossible to conquer. I believe that with her continuous efforts in the future, they will be a loving couple again in the end. Maybe she won't need to work hard slowly. As they get along with each other for a long time, they will be able to reconcile naturally. Now she is full of expectations for their future. Tangyuj, you will never escape from my hands in this life. Ha 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 ha. Tangyuj was brushing his teeth in the bathroom when he heard Qian Yuman's bold and terrifying laughter coming from outside. The look in his eyes was a little gentler. Why? He loved her deeply, but he couldn't help but feel like a rock. He was really afraid of love, but facing her entanglement, which was both sweet and distressing, he was actually very entangled in his heart. Whether he could give each other another chance regardless of everything, maybe she really changed this time, they won't hurt each other anymore. The reason why he didn't dare to contact him was because he was afraid that the next quarrel would be when they would fight each other until death. He didn't allow that day to come. He would rather she be his friend and stay by his side than become strangers and hate each other. Thinking of each other's past is full of tears and pain. Tangyuj thought a lot and worried a lot, so he was hesitant to make decisions. Things that were originally decided would turn into bubbles under Qian Yuman's shameless attack. Qian Yuman happily put on a skirt and slipped into the bathroom. She saw Tangyuj standing in front of the mirror in a daze with a toothbrush in his hand. She snickered, leaned over and poked Tangyuj. Sugar baby, are you staring at your handsome face? He. At this moment, Qian Yuman was in a happy mood and extremely excited. Even though it was a very ordinary thing, she found it very happy and fun. Tangyuj calmed down and picked up the water glass to rinse his mouth. Qian Yuman insisted on squeezing to the position next to him to brush her teeth. Tangyuj gave up her position and she stuck to his side again. Until Tangyuj brushed his teeth, washed his face and left the place. Mr. Tang. Qian Yuman casually brushed the word twice, then ran over and took Tangyuj's arm. I'm so tired and don't want to go out to eat, why would I order takeout? What she was wearing was not her own clothes, but Tangyuj's pajamas. The pajamas she wore last night had been torn to pieces by Tanyuj. Her own clothes were all in the guest room, so she randomly found a piece of Tanyuj's shirt and put it on. "Didn't my son say he bought takeout for us to go out?" Tanyuj opened the door and walked out, pointing at little Mickey and the takeout sitting on the dining table eating dinner. Qian Yuman stuck out her tongue and smiled. She completely forgot about the little Mickey who disturbed his mother's good things. She just wanted to tell them to order takeout and let them go out to eat. "Mr. Tang, it seems that we have left our son dry for a whole day today." "You know it too," Tanyuj smiled helplessly and shook his head. "Fortunately, my son is smart enough to order takeout, otherwise we might have to work hard to have another son." End of this chapter.